It takes a specific kind of confidence to look at a millennia-old, immensely complex global religion with over 1 billion active followers and claim you can logically destroy the entire thing in exactly 1 minute. That is the exact premise laid out by content creator Canyon Mims. In a viral short, he presents a rapid-fire thesis. Hinduism is riddled with so many internal contradictions that the entire belief structure is completely illogical. We see this format all over modern internet apologetics. Massive, historical, theological debates are stripped of their context and condensed into bite-sized, aggressive takedowns optimized for a scrolling feed. The core problem with this style of content is the sheer velocity. The claims hit you so fast that it creates a sensory overload, leaving no room for the viewer to actually process or critically analyze what was just said. To understand the mechanics of how this specific internet argument is constructed, we need to freeze his 60-second clock and audit the 3 distinct pillars he uses to try and deconstruct a global faith. Our theological audit begins with his first major target, the nature of the divine itself, specifically the perceived paradox of polytheism. This diagram illustrates his core logical trap. If a creator is genuinely all-powerful, you can't logically split that supreme power among millions of distinct deities. Doing so creates an impossible, unmanageable hierarchy, where you can't even rank who is in charge. He then extends this attack to the physical practices of the religion. He questions how earthly materials like clay and mud can be elevated into statues possessing real divine authority or power to help you. The final critique points to the mythologies of the gods themselves, highlighting their recognizable human flaws, pointing out that some cheat, some of them lie, and some even experience death. This entire first phase relies on a very specific rhetorical trick. He forces highly symbolic ancient mythological frameworks to conform to strict, literal human organizational logic. From the divine realm, the creator shifts his focus to the mortal realm, launching an aggressive critique of the mortal cycle. He takes aim at reincarnation and the caste system. He frames your current life strictly as a direct result of actions taken in a previous life. But watch as the barrier of memory is introduced. Because we cannot remember past lives, the logical link between crime and punishment is completely severed. He concludes that any justice system where the accused has zero memory of their crime simply isn't fair. By his logic, this makes the entire cosmic cycle of reincarnation an oppressive regime. This argument works effectively in a short video because it applies the strict, modern definitions of Western legal fairness to karma, a concept built on ancient spiritual progression rather than criminal penal codes. This brings us to what the creator explicitly calls the biggest thing that disproves the religion, the structural framework of salvation. He focuses on the core Hindu concept of multiplicity. This is the theological allowance that many distinct, widely varied paths and practices can ultimately lead to the exact same divine truth. Look at this animated diagram. He weaponizes multiplicity, arguing that these divergent paths don't lead to harmony. Instead, he claims they inevitably create internal, insurmountable contradictions that destroy the religion's credibility. This is the absolute breaking point of his 60-second argument. It's the moment where theological complexity is permanently declared an absolute failure. This logic relies on a specific starting assumption, that spiritual truth must be singular and non-contradictory. By applying that filter, the traditional breadth of Hindu practice is reframed as a series of irreconcilable errors. We now reach the after state of the video. It becomes clear that dismantling Hinduism was a rhetorical setup designed to make room for an alternative. He makes his ultimate pivot, presenting the stark, uncompromising monotheism of Islam as the perfect antidote to the chaos he just finished outlining. Islam is framed as the ultimate logical solution based entirely on its pure simplicity. You worship one God with no divine partners and follow highly straightforward rules to enter heaven. This reveals the underlying mechanic driving this specific genre of internet debate. The creator forces a complex, multi-layered theology to be judged solely by the metrics of a rigid, streamlined alternative. This 60-second debunk functions as a meticulously crafted marketing pitch. It strips away theological nuance to argue that if a system is complex, it must be false, leaving simplicity as the only remaining metric for truth.